Yo, it's happened Tuesday, the holy grail of the beat. What better day to spit gems? New York's legacy repeats. A weeknight, sit quiet, and for we it ain't dead. Ghost dog vibes, breaking it down in your head. Sit back, roll a blunt, let's elevate in style. Recollect the memory, city vibe, make it worthwhile. NFL fans gather round, we ready for the grind. This channel be my throne, leading you to unwind. Spitting facts on the mic, headphones set to the tone from the streets of the east. We making this our own.
This is a Gh0stDog mixtape original.
It's your boy Gh0stDog back at it again with another Tap In Tuesday here at the Aboriginal Sports Network, an Aboriginal Sports Network exclusive. Bear that in mind. Absolutely. Got a couple things to go over here. Some preseason notables, contract talks continue, and a couple injury reports and notes that are absolutely noteworthy and something that we should absolutely keep in mind going into the season. However, if you haven't done so already, if you are new to the Aboriginal Sports Network channel, make sure you hit that subscribe, especially if you feel that vibe. We have football here, ladies and gentlemen, baseball, basketball, so many dope content creators, so much at your fingertips that is available for your entertainment and sports needs. So please, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe and check out our other content creators here at the Aboriginal Sports Network. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right into it. We're going to start off with these injuries. A couple notable ones that I've noticed here. Brandon Ayuk is expected to return for week 6. Now, 49ers are going to need him to. There's slim pickings over there at the receiver position. They have Greg Jennings, George Kittle still involved over there. We don't know what's going on with Christian McCaffrey as far as his health. That's always up in the air, it seems to be with him. So they're going to need a Brandon Ayuk, especially don't forget Debo's out of the building. So they need him back sooner rather than later, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And it sucks, man, because I had Brandon Ayuk in fantasy a couple years ago. I think I even had him last year. And, to see a player like that with that level of talent, and, as a Giants fan, I wanted us to possibly make a move for him. You hate to see it. Hopefully, he can come back sooner for them. Make things a little bit interesting over there in the West. Another notable injury here is Landon Dickerson. They thought it was something serious. He will be getting a minor procedure so that he can have a possible expected week 1 return. We all know what it is when it comes to the Eagles offensive line, the number 1 in the league. So missing him would be absolutely detrimental. And as a Giants fan, I want that offensive line at full strength. Make no mistake about it. I want to see what it looks like when in an immovable object goes head to head against an immovable force. An unstoppable force, right? And an immovable object up against an unstoppable force. So that man needs to come back. That's how I feel about that. I'm not with that whole, he's hurt, now let's take advantage. No. We want full strength. I want to see fireworks. Okay? Fireworks. When an immovable object meets an unstoppable force. See, I got it that time. 3rd time's the charm. Another one of note, however, injury-wise, going on down the list here, is one as a Giants fans we should be a little bit familiar with, as there was a lot of talks about him possibly coming here to the Giants, and that is Matthew Stafford. And not only is it an injury, it is a back injury specifically. They're keeping him day to day, hasn't been really getting involved with practices or training camp. And, talk about a projectile absolutely dodged. I thought Giants fans, and there was quite a few of them, I thought they were bugged out when they were talking that nonsense about trading or paying Matthew Stafford. Like, nah, fam. Look, I'm not going to sit there and down that man, but thank God that Joe Schoen did the right move. Bringing Matthew Stafford here would have been an absolute recipe for disaster, and it's showing itself to be true at this point. So for me, that was a crisis averted. For the Rams, however, now we got a situation where, they could have drafted for the future, right? And they didn't. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. Because, man, oh man, there's a lot of teams that kind of fumbled the bag in a way when it comes to that quarterback position. But we're going to save that for later. That being the case, those are like my notable injuries for the offseason thus far. Something to just keep an eye on, especially for Ayuk. He could possibly be like a mid-season kind of like value piece, if you will, for fantasy. Maybe like a stash away type of situation, like keep him somewhere, your eye on him, as it were, on the waivers. So keep an eye out for that. Absolutely. Hopefully he comes back, and hopefully he makes noise, man. I like Ayuk as a player. I think the dude has pretty above average talent. I'll say that. Oh man, talking about situations and availability, the contract talks continue between Micah Parsons. Well, they're not even happening. Okay, it was not even like a handshake situation. Nothing's not on paper. Like, everything is hearsay. Supposedly, Micah and Jerry Jones had a situation or a conversation that didn't involve the agent, which was cool. I guess he had the conversation out of respect for Jerry Jones. Then he comes out and says, I have no obligation to adhere, or rather, to any conversations that happen without my agent present. And again, I'm gonna say that again. As a Giants fan, I kind of like to see the drama. I do, because that team, man, they for as prestigious as people would like to put them or make them out to be, to me, they're kind of like a little bit of a circus. Not even a little bit, a full-blown 3-ring at this point. Somebody needs to take the reins over there, because things is looking crazy. Disorganized even. Because what's going to happen is Micah Parsons at one point was willing to take a bargain deal, because he wanted to play. Now look for that contract to be astronomical. Record-setting. That's what happens when you piss off your players. And he's not the only one. There's a lot of people out there that wants deals and who are getting played by these owners. They're not getting paid. Terry McLaurin. James Cook is now threatening to hold out. Right? Didn't play in the preseason because he wants a deal. Right? Hendrickson is still looking for his money. And the Bengals defense is trash. Doo-doo. And you're going to play around with one of your best defensive players? I'm sure a leader in that locker room on that side of the ball. It's disrespectful, man. It's disrespectful. And hey, look, I understand that the players are the commodity, if you want to label that as such. The entertainment, the value that the NFL, or the product that the NFL is trying to sell to you on the field. However, we're dealing with human beings, and we are dealing with multi-billionaire dollar owners. Cut these men their checks, pay them what they are owed. Even Cam Hayward is threatening to hold out over there at the Steelers. So, I don't know what's going on here. There might have to be a situation where the NFLPA and the NFL ownership and the NFL bigwigs, if you will, come together and renegotiate these things, because there's a lot of effery going on with these. I'm noticing there's a lot more than usual when it comes to the names when it comes to these contract negotiation talks here. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. More than what I'm used to seeing in these off-season media, transitions from preseason to regular season, if you will. So hopefully everything gets resolved. Again, just like with Landon Dickerson being healthy, I want Michael Parsons on that field. I want him motivated. Because again, I want to see our opposition, our team, our division rivals, I want to see them at full strength. No excuses. So that's why I'm advocating for Jerry Jones, pay Micah Parsons. The other owner for the Commanders, his name is dawning on me right now, pay Terry McLaurin. Okay? Bills, pay James Cook. Steelers, pay Hayward. I get it. You just drafted the young man out of Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. I forget his name. His name is blanking on me right now. Top defensive tackle prospect. However, you still have Cam Hayward then. He's not. So for me, I don't think he might be on the back end towards the beginning of the back end of his career. But nah, man. Pay that man. There should be no reason why they're not getting their check. Same thing with Hendrickson. Especially them smelly ass bangers. So there's that. That's the contract negotiation spiel I have for you guys. I also have here a couple preseason game one notables from over the weekend from the preseason games that really caught my eye. The first one I came to note was the Bryce Young and the McMillan connection. Bryce Young got drafted a couple years ago, had a rocky rookie season. Last year, they even had to sit him for Andy Dalton, which was a huge risk. That can play a big part in a player's specific, especially a quarterback, plays a big part in their psyche, their play on the field, their confidence. It affects all that stuff, And then you also run the risk of, if you put Andy Dalton in there over Bryce Young, your top draft pick, you run the risk of Andy Dalton snatching that position up because of the performance. So it was a big risk that their coach took last year. However, towards the end of last season, it kind of looked like it paid off. And thus far into this preseason game, I understand it's way early, right? However, and yet, you like to see what you saw, man. He's finally got a receiver over there that can do things. Despite the criticisms McMillan might have towards him, I expect him to still get busy. I expect him to put up numbers, So there's that. And you love to see Bryce Young too. I hate these players get drafted so high just to end up on the chopping block later on. So, especially like a team like the Panthers, they've been the Panthers for a long time. They are just they've been so terrible. So terrible. So hopefully they found their guy in the Bryce Young. Hopefully they find their receiver in the McMillan. So there's that. Travis Hunter. A little bit of a lackluster debut. Nothing to worry about though. I'm pretty sure they're still trying to figure out the schematics between how they want to play him on offense and defense. So let's just pump the brakes a little bit. Same thing with Ashton Genty. I noticed there's a lot of talk about them already. Like, people already even throwing out like bust-ish conversation kind of talks about these players. Yo, it is preseason 1. We need to chill out. We just need to pump the brakes. And I guess there's a certain argument there as far as like people, having glowing praises for certain players in preseason as well. Even so, when it comes to like negative performances, I feel like we need to pump the brakes just a little bit more. Obviously, the expectation is high for players like a Travis Hunter or an Ashton Genty. I'm absolutely taking that into account. However, just pump the brakes a little bit. Once these teams start figuring out how they're going to use these players, once they get like the motion going, the rhythm, if you will, I expect Ashton Genty to absolutely be a premier running back this year. Possibly even a top 10 conversation running back this year. I expect Pete Carroll to rely on that running game. That's how he's done things, how he will continue to do things. You know, Travis Hunter, I expect his talent to outshine any negativity he might have towards his performance in the preseason. So, yeah, I'm not worried. Travis Hunter is that dude. He's going to be that dude once he has some time to show that he is that dude. And I feel the same way with Ashton Genty. So, chill with the negativity. You know, let these kids learn. Let them take their lumps. Let them figure it out. You know? Same thing with the coaches. You know, a player can only be so talented before, you know, they have to look towards the coach to bring them to that next level. You know? Certain coaches, or rather certain players, can be considered uncoachable. I don't think Travis Hunter, I don't think Ashton Genty are those types of players. So that's where I'm at with it right now. Just pump the brakes and keep your eyes on them. I expect them to do great things. Moving on. Straight into it. It is like the tale of two quarterbacks over here, man. Listen, I had these two gentlemen, these two QBs on my top 3 list. Shedeur was number 1. Jackson Dart was number 3. However, the numbers that they put up could not be more similar. Minus the touchdown, right? Similar numbers. Passer ratings of 80.9%, and I believe Shedeur was like 79.8. Look, Shedeur, 138 yards, 14 for 23, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he had that crazy ball hero moment. Something that needs to be cleaned up, obviously. Yeah, to me, he's got that number 1 quarterback position on lock. And, you know, people want to sit there and say, like, oh, Panthers defense this, Panthers defense that. I don't want to hear that, because if he was trash, you would be clowning him. I expect nothing up from this young man at this point. I expect him to be the starting quarterback at least halfway through the season by this point. That's where I'm at with it. Okay? Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. However, Jackson Dart, New Jack City Dart, is looking like the real deal as well. Okay? 154 yards, 1 touchdown. He led the rushing. I couldn't find the numbers. He had the rushing numbers, 12 for 19. So the attempts and the completions are very similar between these quarterbacks. Same thing with the yards. Same thing with the physical ability. Okay? Not afraid to tuck that ball and run. So I expect, man, look, as I said, the tale of two quarterbacks is what I'm going to call it. This storyline will continue from the moment these two quarterbacks got drafted with the storylines behind them. This storyline will continue to the remainder of their career. 10 years down the line, 12 years down the line, we're going to be talking about this draft. We're going to be talking about how these two teams went their ways and how history played itself out. And it's going to be a very interesting story to be paying attention to. Because for as much as I'm a New York Giants fan, and I will absolutely be rooting for New Jack City Dart. Absolutely. That is my quarterback of the future. On the flip side, I can't help but be rooting for Shedeur as well, man. I see what they did to that young man draft day. Super corny. However, it is what it is. And he's going to make people pay. He's going to make people pay. I just don't think it's going to be the Giants, though. Because from what I'm seeing right now with the New York, with New Jack City Dart, and then he even said it himself after his preseason performance. He told Coach Dable, I was mids. Hey, look. Motivation. Wanting to do better. Perfecting his craft. Okay? Keeping his toolkit sharp. It's what you would want out of your future quarterback. That desire, that thirst, that hunger, that drive. especially in a city like New York. And there is no city on the planet that is like it in any shape or form, especially when you can bring the trophy home to it. Nothing like it. So I just need that young man to stay focused, stay humble, because I'm going to need him to sit. Remember, I don't want that young man starting until Russ is out the building. So that's where I'm at with that. Some dope preseason notables. Yeah, absolutely, man. And we don't even need to talk about Abdul Carter. You know what it is when it comes to that young man. However, I do have this one little bit of a situation here that just absolutely made my asshole itch. And it's a situation here where the biases will continue and continue and continue. And I just, I've noticed these things with these people on social media and these quote unquote sports pundits. And one specifically that I noticed, talking about the tale of the two quarterbacks, right? Josina Anderson, I guess she was a sports analyst somewhere, maybe on ESPN or NFL, whatever. Bro, dude, I didn't even care to really look up into her too much off the strength of the nonsense that she was typing up and putting out there. For me, based off of the tweets, it's suspicious. To me, at best, it is some sort of bias. At worst, it is absolutely some type of agenda going on here. So on the flip side, when it comes to talking about Shedeur, she has these glowing things to say about him. Shedeur Sanders with an 8-yard strike deep in his own territory on the ensuing drive after his first touchdown. Sanders goes through his progressions, shows poise, patience, and the benefit of opportunity and increasing confidence. #Browns. Right? I agree. That's exactly what he was showing. Dude, young man was balling. And again, I'm a Shedeur Sanders fan. Make no mistake about it. I want that young man to do things. And then at one point, she goes with the next tweet. Turn your eyes, #Giants fans. Shedeur Sanders with his second touchdown of the night, showing perfect timing, going right back to Caden Davis. #Browns. Confidence check. Right? We're going to say that. We're going to put a pin in that, though, because we're going to go through the tweets and we're going to come back. Right? She goes to say, this is a heads-up display from #Bills rookie defensive tackle Deontay Walker with the pass deflection off the line of scrimmage. He is 6'7", 331 pounds, crazy nimble for his size. Jackson Dart has to feel and see the pressure here, especially this close to his own end zone. Notice the difference? Notice the difference. From a near interception that should have been picked off, which wasn't his fault, by the way. Bobby Skinner said it best. No interceptions are created equal. I heard it from him. I'm going to give a shout out to him. And he's right. That wasn't all on Jackson Dart. That was a tip ball that a linebacker took advantage of, right? She goes on to say, picked off by #Bills linebacker Joe Andreessen to recovering with the opportunity and converting it into his first NFL touchdown. Because the play right afterwards would be the Humphreys touchdown. Nice short memory and execution for Jackson Dart. The commentary is unfocused during the play. So you see how it's she'll give him a little bit of a compliment, but she's not glowing as she is with Shedeur Sanders. So to me, that's already an immediate biasy red flag there. Because if you were trying to be objective here, you would praise all these quarterbacks in an equal word usage vocabulary type manner. You know what I'm saying? But what really got me going was when she wanted to tag the Giants and call out Giants fans. That's where the real biases starts to show its real ugly head. Because for me, cool. You could say that. You could say that because it's the future. The future hasn't played itself out yet. Okay, we have to wait to see what would be the end results for this. Okay, understandably so. Nobody's knocking that. However, the problem I have is that there are over a handful of teams that did the exact same thing. The Browns passed on him for a couple rounds and only picked him up after they had already acquired another one way earlier than what they did for Shedeur. Okay? You got the Saints right now who's dealing with Shuck down there right now. They don't know what's going on. The Raiders got Geno Smith, but they don't have nobody for the future. So you could put the Raiders in there. Okay? The Steelers, same situation. You got Aaron Rodgers, but is he the future? That's my question. Same thing with the Rams. Hell, you can even have an argument for the Colts. Because look at how DJ is stinking up the joint over there. So that's where I'm at with it. Keep that same energy on an equal playing field with all the other franchises that passed on him and who are going to struggle mightily more than the Giants are. Because the Giants passed on him because they had a plan to acquire Jackson Dart. Not because they didn't want Shedeur. Well, they didn't want him for Jackson, but in comparison to all these other teams, it's not even comparable. So I just had to call that out, man, and pay attention. There's going to be more of that nonsense going on. Let Jackson Dart slip up a little bit a couple years down the line and Shedeur ball out. Pay attention. Pay attention is all I'm saying. However, gone on long enough, man. That was my rant, making my asshole itch. Just the stuff that come out of people's mouths be crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. However, wrapping it up with another Tap In Tuesday for y'all. Stay tuned for any new updates as far as anything football, baseball related. Basketball will kick up again soon, come late October, November, so stay tuned for that. Shouts out to everybody in the Aboriginal Sports Network. If you haven't done so already, if you are new to the network, make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. We got no problem engaging with the Aboriginal Sports faithful. Hit us up on all our main channels as well, even mine's. I'll leave my link in the description down in the, where you can find it. So please help a brother out. You know what I'm saying? On the road to 1,000. With that being the case, this is another Gh0stDog's Tap In Tuesday. And I'm going to give y'all a big blue salute. Peace.
Yo, it's Tap In Tuesday, the holy grail of the beat. What better day to spit gems? New York's legacy repeats. A weeknight, sing quiet, and for we it ain't dead. Gh0stDog vibes, breaking it down in your head. Sit back, roll a blunt, let's elevate in style. Recollect the memory, city vibes make it worthwhile. NFL fans gather round, we ready for the grind. This channel be my throne, leading you to unwind. Spitting facts on the mic, headphones censor the tone from the streets of the east. We making this our own. Tapping out Tuesday, but only for a while. Goodbye Tuesday, a pill now hard to swallow. Hit that like button and don't forget to follow. I'll be back soon, shit, it might be tomorrow.
This is a Gh0stDog mixtape original.